Namaskar. Welcome to this module on blood banks. It's a very important module. Because what is a blood bank? The ability to transfuse blood has been one of the major advances of medical care. The spectacular success of modern surgical procedures are built upon the availability of effective transfusion services in a hospital. The potential risk of transmission of blood-borne diseases has been sought to be reduced by appropriate legislation, the Drugs and Cosmetics Rules of 1999, and significant policy changes which provide for guidelines and standards with regard to planning, designing and space requirements for blood transfusion services in India. Blood banks. So, the blood bank means a place or an organization or a unit or an institution for carrying out all or any of the operations for collection, storage, procuring, distribution of blood drawn from donors or preparation, storage and distribution of blood components. The objective is to provide adequate quality of safe blood and blood products or components for the patients in a cost effective and coordinated manner. This is achieved by encouraging voluntary blood donation, mandatory testing of the collected blood including quality control checks, component separation, optimum storage and proper issue for transfusion. The importance of blood and recognized blood banks are, it gives a positive image feeling about the hospital. It ensures provision of quality medical care to patients due to timely availability of blood and its components. The functions of a blood bank are selection of voluntary donors to determine suitability for donation, history and medical examination. Blood connection is an aseptic manner in the bleeding room. Functions include screening of collected blood for various blood-borne diseases, mandatory in India for HIV, hepatitis B, syphilis, malaria, hepatitis C virus. Component preparation as per established protocols depending upon the mandate of the hospital. The functions include optimum storage of blood and blood products including components for specific duration of time so as to ensure availability during emergencies, to carry out emergency grouping and cross matching of samples before issue, record keeping of the processes in the blood bank, training of medical and paramedical staff, research activities pertaining to blood transfusion services, to conduct camps for voluntary blood donation to meet the shortfall between demand and supply, to develop and nurture the pool of healthy voluntary donors. The location of the blood bank is ideally it should be located on the ground floor with the prominent signage for donors and patients and attendants to reach there. It should be close to the accident and emergency services and the hematology department if available in the hospital. The proximity to operation theatre complex is also desirable. So, what are the space requirements for a blood bank? The public access areas, which is the donor reception office, counseling room, medical examination room, bleeding room, refreshment, restrooms including toilets and pantry. Laboratory areas are broadly subdivided into those areas, rooms which process donor samples and those which are used for component separation, either basic or advanced depending upon the type of the hospital. Proper facilities for management and disposal of biomedical waste as per statutory requirements is essential. Storage and issue counters. Adequate and appropriate storage facility is an imperative requirement and should have proximity to the issue counter. The issue counter should be prominently displayed and open on a hospital corridor near the accident and emergency department and the hospital vertical transportation system in case of multi-storied hospitals. The administrative areas. These include the office of the medical officer in charge of the blood bank, other medical officers, paramedical staff, technicians, restrooms, stores, departmental library, study, research and presentation rooms, etc., depending on the level of blood transfusion services provided. Planning and designing parameters include that it should be situated away from public laboratories, restrooms, crowded areas and other unhygienic surroundings. The building should have consultation and proper entry. The building should have proper construction to prevent entry of insects, rodents and flies. The premises should be well lighted, minimum 200 lux of light level, ventilated with a ventilated mesh, screened or should have air curtains to prevent entry of flies and other insects. So, we are showing you a diagrammic representation of the flow of a blood bank, which you can see in the slide which is attached to this presentation. So, you can see these slides and you can appreciate that what is the flow of the services in a blood bank. So, what are the finishes required for walls and floors? They should be smooth, washable, capable of being cleaned easily. Walls should not have dust collecting projections. Drains should have adequate size and if connected directly to a sewer should have traps to prevent back siphonage. Adequate clean and hygienic toilets and hand washing facilities should be provided. General planning considerations for the laboratories include minimum movement of persons in corridors, limited entry of patients and attendants into the laboratory areas, clear demarcation of public access and other areas with proper adequate signages. Laboratories should be contiguous with minimum crisscross of traffic to reduce chances of mixing up of samples and specimens. Doors should be wide 2 meters and rooms in the laboratory area spacious enough for proper installation of mandatory equipment. Adequate provision should be made for power points in all the rooms where equipment is installed, including provision for power backup through UPS, especially for critical equipment. Adequate space should be provided for proper storage of blood units in the designated rooms areas and should not encroach on corridors and common spaces. As far as possible, furniture should be modular with provision of future expansions. Sinks with adequate size should be provided in rooms processing specimen for cleaning and disinfection. Recommended air changes should be 10 to 15 per hour. Furniture in public access and administrative areas, which are the rooms, should be comfortable. Provision for health education messages, posters, TV screens should exist. The donor couches for bleeding room should be comfortable and ergonomically designed for comfort. So, in conclusion, we could say that blood transfusion services have evolved from being part of a laboratory service to become an integral part of all large hospitals. A properly planned blood transfusion services is a very important component for quality healthcare services. Namaskar. Thank you. I hope you've understood the concepts of the requirement of a blood bank, the planning considerations, the designing, the specifications of the materials used and the finishes we should have. You may please ask questions on our discussion forum. Kindly read the e-text which we provided with the module and see the reference material and answer the multiple choice questions which we are asking you for this module.